We're back. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, this is a conversation about AI. So if you're in the wrong room, now's the time to go into the other room that they're talking about some other thing. My name is Richard Mitchell. I am the Higher Education Solutions Manager for the East. So I am in my wrong territory. Michael Hooper, why don't you introduce yourself? You need to come over here because the mic's right here. So the mic's right there.
It's a trip hazard that I created here. Sorry. My name is Michael Hooper. I am like Richard, but central part, so also outside of my territory. The middle part. Not east, not west, right. But, you know, right. All the way from Canada to Mexico.
That's it.
That's all you needed from me? Great.
First and foremost, thank you for joining our presentation here. We will be chatting about some of the AI that we are doing. And when I say we, I'm using a royal we because we actually have engineers that know what is happening at our company. We know very little, in fact. Thank you for joining us. Again, this is the higher education team at Biamp. Shirley is down in California when she should be here, but you have probably bumped into us at some conference, and we are excited to be here. I am also the membership chair of ETC. It's a fantastic organization like Northwest Met. You should join both. Full disclosure, I am the membership chair, so it's my motivation to get more people into the organization. So feel free to join that group as well. So when preparing, I was going to share a lovely PowerPoint deck of all the things that we're working on in terms of AI, but we will spare you that. It's a beautiful deck, but we're going to spare you that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the AIs and the dangers that people seem to have about AI. Fun fact, and this is a fact we came up with, if you are over 55 years old, you're going to be fine. Don't worry about anything. Okay. You're going to be okay. If you're under 55 years old, you will be losing your job. You will live in a future with the robot that will destroy the planet, is pretty much what I'm telling you right now. But what if we lived in a world where the Terminator did our laundry? Would that be something you might be interested in? What if it mowed your lawn? All of a sudden, the Terminator's not so bad anymore. Now we're starting to talk about things that I can get excited about. So I think the idea that AI is this thing that is going to cause a lot of chaos and trouble, it is, but it may not be as bad as we think it could be.
Chaos and trouble for the weeds.
Hey, right. I mean, again, this is here already. I think it's just we're going to lean into it as we move into the future. In terms of the AI that Biamp is doing, the first thing is our AI noise reduction. And full disclosure, when you buy one of our DSPs, it does not have a supercomputer in it. Fun fact. You might be surprised by that because you don't know our products all that well. But the way that our AI noise reduction works is, hey, we've got a Biamp engineer with neither of us because we know very little about AI. But we have a Biamp engineer with a fantastic idea how we can leverage AI to create a noise filter. We then proceed to use a supercomputer that we lease in South Korea. Fun fact, South Korea, not North Korea, because that would be problematic. That could be problematic. So in South Korea, we lease a supercomputer.
I don't think that's true.
It's factually true. Okay. It's 100% true. Okay. We then fed it human voices as, it's green because it's good. That means it's good. Green's good.
Good.
And then we fed it unwanted sounds, red bad.
Red bad.
So sounds like lawnmower noises, train noises, all these different noises. And out pops the other end a fingerprint. Essentially, that was the noise filter that it came out with the first time. It takes about 2 weeks for this supercomputer to output another filter. So every time we discover a noise or something that it isn't able to identify, we add another couple sounds in, we shake up the box, and bang, out comes another fingerprint. We then take that fingerprint, and we started 2 years ago placing that into our soundbars. So the soundbar is not a supercomputer, but it has that fingerprint in it. And every time we update the firmware of it, we're actually giving it a new fingerprint, essentially. Then we took that and we introduced it into our launch products. So you could buy our mics and our speakers, and it would then have that noise filter in it. And just recently, we've added it to our open architecture. So now you can do really cool things like filter out student chewing noises, doors slamming, all the things the faculty hate are filtered out. And because it's also in the open architecture, you can dial it in a little bit more. Maybe you do want some of the ambient room noise because it can feel a little, what's that, uncanny valley. On occasion, it can run into that area where you know that there should be more noise from the room and it feels kind of artificial. With it in our open architecture now, you can kind of dial it in, give them a little bit of the room noise, maybe a little bit of the chewing sound. Just a little though, because it's kind of gross. But just a little bit to keep the room sounding pretty natural. Why is this important? Because we've been able to do all of this stuff, like EQing out like a hum or a buzz or something like that, has been relatively straightforward. HVAC noise, et cetera. We've been doing that for at least an hour. Ever, right. Now with the AI noise reduction, we are able to get, again, door closing, lawn sounds, all these different noises are just filtered out using an AI. AI, in my opinion, is like Google about 20 years ago. If you knew about Google 20 years ago, you had a superpower, and you were able to find information like nobody else had found information. Today, AI is the new Google, if you will. It is being introduced into everything, and those that understand and lean into the power of AI will be at an advantage. At Biamp, they have no guardrails as to how we use AI. So I use it in every aspect of my job, from meeting plans, meeting reports. Where else are you using it, Hooper? Generating inappropriate photos, possibly.
No, not at all.
Not at all. But again, why would I spend 20 minutes crafting an email when I can just have an AI craft a much better email, and then I go in and edit it? I think that is where we are headed.
Yeah, there's one step further than that, though. Like, I need AI to summarize your email because now it's just got too much.
Oh, I see. And then
so, like,
when
I
you
just feed it back to the same algorithm that you used to create it. You basically encoded it, and I just decoded it back down to the 3 bullet points that you should have just sent.
got it. And then when you send it back, you will re-encode, I'll de-encode.
I'll re-encode it, make it big and pretty, and then you'll get it. You'll have to summarize it.
I love this. I love everything about this, in
I
fact.
like where we're going now.
Okay, so that's it for me. At this point, I'm going to ask Cooper to come on up here and talk about some of the specifics related to AI. See you later, Hooper.
Richard and I prepared this presentation without actually talking to each other at all.
That's part of the charm. Just out of curiosity, how many people are using AI in a daily kind of way?
Extend.
Okay. One.
Oh, it's me.
One person.
It's me.
Okay. 1.5 people. So how are you using it?
For AI summaries.
Now I don't think it's me. All right, plug in. Come on, extend display.
Oh yeah, somebody expressed surprise that they heard about this thing they hadn't heard about. Like,
Scared.
the action items at the very end of the email. Like, this is scarily accurate.
I'm shocked. Not only can it do summaries of meetings, but it can identify how many people were in the meeting. It can identify also asking it questions like, what is the speech purpose of the individual saying this part of a conversation? And it will say they are speaking at an 8th grade level. It are incredibly accurate in terms of how it's able to discover information. So yes, the AI will be monitoring all our work in the future and giving us I hope I'm in that 55 and over group that never sees the overlords coming.
You can shorten my emails and everybody else will be happy.
Right. You mentioned you're using it too. How are you using it?
Well, I'm in grad school, so.
Oh, it's rating all your papers. Cool. That's
It's helpful for outlines, pictures, not really the content.
But I would say most of the AV people out there are in this industry not because they are prolific writers. And I feel empowered now because I can come up with some really great content and then I go in and edit it for more accuracy. That is something that most AV people really struggle with. Also documentation. I have run through so many documentation articles based purely on AI, where we're able to say, this is the product, these are the key points I want you to touch on, and bang, out comes something that, yes, needs some editing, but is relative. What are you doing? What is there an AV person in the house?
Can we get some AI over here? Just keep vamping, keep vamping.
Oh.
IT, have you tried turning it off and back on again?
We've got to go right. Other people, how are you using AI?
Yeah, I what they shared. I have used it for meeting notes. I actually had to stop using it for meeting notes because sometimes the summaries went out to people that it contained notes that weren't at the meeting, and it was misinformation.
Oh, my screen just went. My screen just did something. Hang tight, hang tight.
We got one script that said so-and-so expressed disapproval with another person. We did not.
Drama at a university?
Okay, it thinks it's plugged into something because I've got presenter mode now.
Yeah.
So.
Sure. Well, but honestly, the 3 different outlines, I felt like I reached the point of saturation where I was like, okay, yeah.
No,
The book. Here's the approach I want to take to outlining the book, and there's nothing left on the table. Like, I'm not forgetting at this point.
I find, honestly, I'm using it in, like career development. I use it, like I'll ask it questions like, how do I move up in my career? What kind of things could I be doing to improve my skills or my resume? What other things might I need to move up in a position? And it is scarily accurate in terms of like, you probably could use some more technical skills. Maybe it's me, but maybe it's just really honest. So I love to ask it a lot of questions, how to stay more motivated, how to keep on topic. It destroys writer's block. I am one of those people that procrastinates, and then it becomes, okay, I have to do this now. With ChatGPT, I'm just kind of like, I'll jump in and create a rough sketch of a conversation regarding whatever it might be. And it gives you a fantastic framework to kind of start along the journey. And I think people aren't leveraging it enough. Again, I think we're lucky to work at a company where they're like, lean into it because every other manufacturer is. And there's a lot of concern, obviously, about that. But at the same time, I think it's great.
I think it's great too, thanks. One of the things it's capable of is doing a presentation for you.
I am sure that if you have not been introduced to AI-generated contents, this is going to not be the last time, and probably you're going to actually be able to learn how to identify it. I did create this entire presentation here using ChatGPT to come up with everything. Images, slides, content. I'm not going to read all of the content to you. I'm just going to kind of go through the highlights and the overbits. Now, I did build the agenda here.
So you did some work.
I did some work, but it did most of the other things. The 2 things that are like most important to what we're talking about within at least the AI noise reduction algorithm to Biamp, audio fatigue and speech intelligibility. I asked it to define what those things were, why they were important. it created a beautiful table for me. It said, these are the symptoms. And if you have been in a very poor audio experience environment, you know this. Like, audio fatigue is something that it's both like emotionally and physically like draining on you whenever you're struggling to hear what the message is, right? So with new AI adaptive filters, we take care of it for you. We make sure the audio is great and the speech intelligibility is great too, and the messages aren't lost, and everybody learns at a higher rate, and everybody gets higher test scores, and we all get better funding from the United States government, or if we're a private school or institution. Oh my gosh. I also use ChatGPT to come up with all the imagery as well, or using DALL-E because GPT-4 uses that. But these were also done a while ago, so it's kind of, some of it is a bit cartoony. Oh, this is probably better that it doesn't have audio because they curse. This is the part where I wanted to tell you about like how deep learning works versus machine learning, and they're very similar to each other. And Richard explained it earlier with the computers that we lease in South Korea, which I am not entirely sure is accurate, but I know that we don't have supercomputers at Biamp, but we do have these fancy algorithms that have been built from supercomputers that we do lease time for. The algorithm that we run is simply, if you guys have not seen Silicon Valley, it's one of the best shows ever. Please go watch it. The Asian guy here invents an app, and he trains his app to identify food. Unfortunately, it can only do hot dog and not hot dog, and that's kind of how our algorithm works too. It really only does human speech. It does human speech and not human speech. So that is really good that there was no audio there. Enhancements with it. Now this is actually something real, and AI did help out with this as well. Whenever you have a audio system, I'm assuming that a lot of you guys are the AV guys for your universities, where you kind of get told, okay, we're gonna go put in this new classroom sound system. And there's multiple steps of actually cutting the holes to hang the speakers. And then whenever you get everything actually plugged in, you have to tune it and you have to commission it and you have to make sure that everything is tested and sounds appropriate and the volume levels are good and the reverberance of the room is kind of in check. With the new AI that we have in the launch process that Richard mentioned but didn't tell you anything about, you push a button and the Biamp system actually detects the hardware that is plugged into the network and will configure your audio DSP file based on whatever hardware it detects, but then it uses the hardware to measure the room acoustics to determine what kind of filters that it needs to apply to give optimal audio to the other side. So really it's just a push of a button, you get more time for happy hour, it's that easy. I have a demo of that process. I'm gonna see if I can't skip to like oh wait, we don't even have audio, do we? So it wouldn't be any good. We'll do it later. Better, faster, stronger. Once again, AI just did all of this for us. This is very, very easy for me to go through and just simply read the context that it adds. There's a lot here that I'm not reading. And take out the 9 to 10% of just complete wrong, ignorant things that it gives you and just use the rest of it to create stuff. What else you got, Richard?
What else do I got? Other areas that I'm seeing universities using AI is specifically documentation of AV systems. It does a really great job of articulating how to do a lot of things like turning on systems, etc. Again, it gives you all the keys to do some of that. Also, a lot of universities, it's like a one-man band. You only have one person for a lot of rooms. It is great at coming up with procedural documents. It's something that I've really pushed on, where I want to monitor in a meaningful way how to engage all the classrooms so that every week they're all reviewed. Come up with a schedule to do that. And it'll come up with a pretty accurate schedule and tasks associated with it. Does it get it right all the time? No. But you just keep asking it until it gives you an answer that is more suitable for your application. It is incredibly powerful. again, I use it every day. Questions, thoughts, ideas. Again, I love AI. I am leaning into it.
I, for one, look forward to our new robotic overlords enslaving humanity for mass production of paper clips or whatever it is that they're going to do.
I completely agree. Also, I think in terms of classrooms, what people need to start doing now so that they can be prepared for the AI that is on the near horizon is start getting accurate measurements from all of your rooms as much as you can. Because soon we're going to start seeing predictive analytics associated with AI so that we will know when the projectors are going to fail based purely on their power consumption, or it will be able to predict a lot of things that we hadn't anticipated. But we need to start building AV systems that have analytics that we can tie into it so that it has the data to start looking for those types of things.
A lot of us are in a position of having to pick, products for whether it's equipment or software, and I'm thinking it could be used to, like do a table of leading, lecture capture tools and compare them feature by feature, see what you get.
So I've tried doing a bunch of that stuff, like me being a Biamp guy, going into a large language model like ChatGPT 4, right? Whatever the latest news, greatest one is like, all right, tell me why Biamp's better than the competition. And it's like, oh, Biamp system is great, but it has no idea because it doesn't know up to a minute, and it doesn't know specifically what my needs are. So it does a really good job of making you think that it's putting everything together in a comparative way where it's really just constructing, the data that you kind of fed into it. So it's really useful if you can give it all of the correct data, and that data is up to date and, like I said, correct.
Right.
The problem is whenever the data is slightly tainted. We don't even know when it's tainted, but like an example, healthcare is using AI a lot right now. And one of the applications I recently learned about was to determine how or what treatments for persons that get pneumonia. So if you are asthmatic, if you have asthma and you get pneumonia, immediately you go to the ICU. You get special doctors, you get all of the treatment. Your survival rate from pneumonia, if you are asthmatic, is almost 100%. That's inaccurate data. It's these people are at such a low survival rate when they get it that they get immediately top tier treatment. But that's the only data we get it. We don't get it the data of everybody that had pneumonia that maybe didn't report it. It's just according to the AI, if you have pneumonia, asthma is the best way to cure it. And so it's kind of just incorrect, but it's confidently incorrect because it's just giving the information that it was trained on to you. So it's the training data that is like the hardest thing, which is why the large language models that do the deep learning are so compelling because they're showing us stuff that we never even really thought about through our own language. It's putting it all together, and it's doing it in a way that every word, every sentence, every kind of idea in the large language models are vector, meaning that it's kind of given a value. And cat is pretty close to dog, so it's kind of here and connected by this line. And things like word map come into play, so you can use simple equations like Rome minus Italy plus Russia is equals Moscow. And your GPT or whatever large language model, you can put the equation in and it'll come up with the right city. Or another one that I recently did, but it also shows a little bit of work that we need to do because this sounds very sexist, is doctor minus man plus woman will come up with nurse. Why wouldn't it just come up with female doctor? It's just part of the language that we trained on. So yeah, the R language is toxic in a way that it kind of lends itself to one set of data, but we don't want it to be that way.
We're also seeing AI's really starting to dominate in AV design work as well, where they can, you've got blocks and hey, come up with the best configuration. Routinely, there are just glaring errors with the designs that come out. But if you're not trained, they're getting better, but it routinely will say oh, HDMI, just plug that right into the VGA, it's fine. And it's no, that wouldn't work. but it's easy to get those things confused. But there will be a day where you're just going to be able to chat and say, the room is this large, the ceilings are this high, build me an AV system, and it's going to say, here you go. It's going to be fascinating when that happens because I can only imagine the wild card types of hardware that will be introduced. But if you said, build me the cheapest AV system, build me the most expensive, it'll keep cranking them out. But I think there's always going to be a place for the human eye to be able to peer at these designs and say, does this make sense for us? So, but you're going to hear more about the AI specific to AV design in the near future. Some are already releasing it. From what I have seen, they could use a couple generations before it's ready for prime time. But for very small rudimentary systems, it's pretty accurate. That said, once you get into a larger scale, not so much.
Is anybody using AI in here that's, I guess, not a large language model? A different tool? What are you using that's different?
For audio post-production.
Ah.
So, been trying out a bunch of those, like, Hush Pro and some of those other, like, deep learning models to kind of reduce noise for, video production.
I've used it for image generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I don't search for images anymore. I just ask,
Just create
give me this
them.
image. Create this. No, that's not what I wanted. I wanted this.
I've dabbled a little bit with video generation, but
I don't, yeah.
I haven't figured out how to make it do the kind of thing that I have to do. Yeah.
But I think realistically in the near future, we're also going to be seeing like, hey, I want a touch panel that does X, Y, and Z. What's the most efficient using all the ADA considerations available right now? Come up with a touch panel that makes sense for you. And maybe it's a button or whatever it is.
The way I see it, Biamp is getting into control. So we are very much having the conversations about what do you guys use for your programming language. So if I wanted to go in and actually program this instead of configure a drag and drop interface, what does that look like? And I'm like, I have no idea because I don't speak Python, I speak English. And that is the only coding language that I actually need to be able to speak because the large language models, they speak all the other languages. So I can see a very near future for maybe our company, maybe others out there, where if you need a room and it's configured in such a way that these are the buttons that I need, you just tell it, and it creates that for you. And you, okay, well this button now needs to turn red when this is active or whatnot, and it just does it for you because you ask it to do that.
We're saying near future, but it's here now. Like right now, you can go and
Yes.
say, write me a Python script that will have 2 buttons, and when I push the button, send this signal, like create an output. So it'll do it right now.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised that people aren't using it even more.
Yeah, that, what you're saying reminds me of some videos I saw a couple of months ago. Someone had clearly asked an AI to redesign a physical space. So I don't know how they exactly provided the blueprints of the space, but they said redesign this living room to be more, more user friendly essentially. And it kicked out a script, and then they actually used that script to generate an AI video of that. And so it showed like the whole way they were designing the room with consideration for how it used the space. So one example was like, okay, we're gonna put this cabinet here, but we're gonna leave like a little nook beneath for your Roomba. So that your Roomba has a little bay to sit in.
AI looking out for its brother.
Right.
And it just
Poor little retarded robot, he only sweeps, but give him a good home.
It had a lot of really interesting thoughts about like how to make the space more usable in ways that are not commonplace in like the way spaces are designed in the US or other countries that I'm familiar with. So it was really interesting to see its design approach. Sometimes really bizarre choices that make no sense at all. But yeah, it seemed really like an example of AI really coming in with a unique perspective on how to design things for a particular.
And that, like my office already, I'm like, what if I, create a picture of an office and I want the table to be here and the chair, and it's shockingly accurate with how, like, the room is 10 by 14. How would you reposition this? These are available now, and it's it's just amazing that we've entered into this period where I can just ask it to create a Python script for me. I can ask it to do image generation. It's scarily accurate. And I keep bumping into people that are like, you know, I don't want to be associated with AI. And it's like, it's the Google of our modern era. And if you're not leveraging some of these tools, and I have appreciation for where does that information go and who could be monitoring all of these things. But I mean, if you're not using it, you will be left behind. And I don't know how else to say that. Is that a mean thing?
No, it's
like,
true. It's just using
sorry,
it.
bro.
Yeah.
We're leaving you behind. We're
You know?
moving on without that.
That's
I'm
accurate.
realizing how much time I've wasted with these 4x6 mats that I have to fill up a room with, and I've been trying to figure out what configuration is best to put them in. And I've been diagramming since I should just ask AI.
Yeah, like any task I now have that takes more than like 20, 25 minutes, I think, is there a way the AI could do, like even recommend how I would approach this project differently? And it really is like having a kind of a coworker that you can ask infinite questions to and they won't get annoyed. As compared to other coworkers that you can, you know, upset very quickly. I can ask the AI multiple questions and then just keep iterating on that to get a result that works best for me.
So for a layout of the room, is that going to be a visual thing?
Yeah.
So you would ask, like, what, ChatGPT to?
I was using Bing's image generation. I can't remember. They shuffled the names around, and it was like, I want a floor plan with the room is X by X, and I want these are the I've got a desk that is 4 feet by 3 feet. What's the most efficient setup for this?
Yeah, okay.
And it spit out some stuff. Some of it was close to what I was kind of looking for. Others were bizarre, like it put the desk in front of a door. But it's like, I can but instead of me getting a pen and kind of sketching it all out for hours, it was like a 5-minute process to get something pretty close to what I was looking for. Ta-da, we're done. Thank you.